The Americans Abroad season is back, which means my weekends are gone because that's when I have to make the USMNT Abroad episode that we update you on every Monday. But that's completely off topic. Not really. And I do understand that there might have been way too many transfers during the summer for you to keep up with, unless you are Mexican or Canadian. Then you don't, because Mexican players are all heading back to Liga MX, and Canadian players, well, there ain't that many. But today, we are going to be doing a US Men's National Team Abroad 2023-2024 season teaser, which I'm very much looking forward to. Hi, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV, and welcome to what is technically the first US Men's National Team Abroad episode of this season. It's not really an update, but it's kind of like to update you on everything that happened during the summer. Let me explain. Essentially, we're updating you on all the transfers that happened so far up to August 14th. Everything that happens after, we will update you on the weekend recaps every single Monday and sometimes on Tuesday. Lastly, at the end of the video, I will do a US Men's National Team season predictions for the player with the most goals, the player with the most assists, the comeback player of the season, the breakthrough player of the season, the biggest surprise of the season, and the biggest disappointment of the season. Remember, these are predictions, and you can let me know yours in the comment section down below while you drop a like, while you're dropping a deuce. Again, I probably caught you pooping and watching me on YouTube, which is extremely awkward because now I am looking straight at you while you poop. It's creepy. Okay, so with that said, let's try to hit 1,000 likes before we start. With 1,000 likes, I will not be canceled again. Fingers crossed. Okay, let's play the intro and let's start the episode. Let's start with the transfer updates. Why don't we start with the Milan boys? Christian Pulisic heads to Milan for 20 million euros. He finally leaves Chelsea, which we very much needed. To me, this was an A+ transfer. He heads to a massive club with lots of history, extremely competitive, and to a very strong league, probably a top 3 league in the world. The other player that heads to Milan is Yunus Musa. He leaves Valencia, that shit show, and excuse my French. Right there. Yes, Valencia was a complete mess, and Yunus Musa left Valencia for also 20 million euros, and he heads to Milan. Christian Pulisic is expected to be a locked-in starter. As for Yunus Musa, he will have to fight for his spot, but he could be a surprise this season because you never know. He's going to be playing around better players than he had in Valencia. Let's not leave Italy yet, because there's more Americans in the Serie A this season. And one of them is Timothy Weah, that he heads to Juventus for 11 million euros. And then you have Weston McKennie that returns to Juventus from the terrible loan that he had at Leeds United, which sort of counts as a transfer, right? He's heading back to Juventus. Tim Weah is expected to play as a right back, right wing back, and right winger, and sometimes right midfielder for Juventus. Sort of like the Cuadrado role that he was playing last season. Cuadrado has left Juventus. We have seen him play right wing back before, so that won't be an issue. Now we're going to go all the way to the Netherlands because we're going to talk about PSV. Ricardo Pepi headed to PSV for 11 million euros, and Augsburg also holds on to 20 to 25% of a future transfer fee. So at the time, right now, Augsburg is still on a loss because they paid 16 million euros for Pepi. But if he does well at PSV and gets another transfer, they might recoup their investment. The other American that heads to PSV is Malik Tillman. He replaces the talented Xavi Simons that headed to RB Leipzig, but Malik Tillman arrives at PSV on a loan from Bayern. You know what's funny? Ricardo Pepi and Malik Tillman might have been two of the biggest snubs from the 2022 World Cup from Greg Berhalter, right? And Ernie Stewart was Greg Berhalter's boss. And Ernie Stewart is now in charge of PSV, and at least as a director, right? The ones they signed, not the coach. It's kind of interesting that he brought in to PSV two of the players that Berhalter snubbed. You know, completely different cases, different times, but it's just, I would say, ironic. But let's move on because there are more transfers to update you. We also had Brendan Aronson leave Leeds United and head to Union Berlin on a loan. Union Berlin will be playing in the Champions League and obviously in the Bundesliga. Austin Trusty leaves Arsenal, even though he didn't play for Arsenal. He was on a loan with Birmingham City in the EFL Championship, but he now heads to Sheffield United in the English Premier League for 5.8 million euros. And then we also have more Premier League players, more Premier League Americans, and that is Matt Turner that also leaves Arsenal, and this time for 8 million euros. And he heads to Nottingham Forest in the English Premier League to be their locked-in starter. Now, we also had players leaving Premier League teams, at least on a loan, and that is Gabriel Sonina. He belongs to Chelsea, and he goes to a loan at Eupen in Belgium. I think I pronounced their name right. And they are also not very good. So as a goalkeeper, Gaga Sonina will be very busy, and that'll probably be very good for his development. Still in England, we also have Haji Wright that finally left the Turkish league. But he did not head to the English Premier League. He went to Coventry in the EFL Championship, the second division, for 9 million euros. In the first few games of the season, he already played, and he played very well. He even scored off the bench. Let's just put it this way. His start at Coventry, the first 2 to 3 games, have looked extremely promising. We also had Emmanuel Sabi head to Le Havre, or Le Havre. How's my French? Is it getting better? I practiced my French during the summer, just a little bit. But he heads to Ligue 1 for 1 million euros, which is a bit of a surprise. He didn't look good for the US men's national team. He was playing in the Danish league in Denmark. But I guess now we're going to go follow Emmanuel Sabi in the top 5 league. We'll see how he does. Is Ligue 1 still a top 5 league? Eric Palmer-Brown, that played for Troyes in Ligue 1 last season, that ended up getting relegated. He has left France and headed to Greece to play for Panathinaikos, and he left for 1.5 million euros. Now I want to talk quickly about Tyler Adams, that at the time of this recording, there has been no transfer confirmed, but it looks like there's one that's about to happen. It looks like Tyler Adams will head to Bournemouth, which I think that's how you pronounce it, because it looks like the way it's spelled out is just Bournemouth, but I keep hearing people calling it Bournemouth when I watch Premier League games, so that's how I'm going to call it. At the time of this recording, it seems like the deal will go through, but again, the Tyler Adams to Chelsea was pretty much a done deal, and it just collapsed out of nowhere. Personally, I like this Bournemouth move. I think it'll be very good if it happens. They had a great transfer window, so it's a much better team than Leeds had, and their coach, Andoni Iraola, it's in Spanish, so I'm also trying to pronounce that right. Iraola has a system and style of play that very much fits Tyler Adams at the counter press. Sure, it'll likely be a relegation battle or close to that, but this is a better team than Leeds. This is a better season for Tyler. I think it's a great move, and it's more of his level than Chelsea, where Tyler Adams will actually be a key player for them rather than just a role player, and that's what Tyler should be. So again, the move might have been confirmed by the time you're watching this. If it was, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But I like this move, if it's confirmed. But listen, here are a few names that at the time of this recording have not gotten transfer, but will likely get a move this summer, as we still have 2 more weeks of the transfer window, and we will be reporting and updating you every single Monday. And these players are Serginho Dest, he will not stay with Barcelona. Fullerton Balogun, that will very likely leave Arsenal. We've seen speculation of Inter Milan, Monaco, Tottenham. We'll see where Balogun goes. Caden Clark will not stay with RB Leipzig. He did have a deal with the Colorado Rapids to come back to MLS, but Leipzig did not sign the documents on time, so Caden Clark is still with Leipzig, and he can only go to a team in Europe or wait for MLS in January. Ethan Horvath still needs a club. Reggie Cannon, at the time of this recording, he's a free agent because apparently they weren't paying him on time in Portugal. Cade Cowell had some offers rejected from Bologna in the Serie A. I mean, San Jose Earthquakes rejected offers for Cade Cowell that he could be heading to Italy. Zach Steffen, I'm not sure what's happening there. And Tanner Tessman is another one that could get a transfer from Venezia, but at the time of this recording, he hasn't. Let me know if I forgot anyone, but I'm pretty sure I tracked the players very well. All other players that you mentioned, maybe you want them to get a transfer, but they're probably not going to get one this summer. So now let's go to the fun part. What are my predictions for the US men's national team players abroad this season? And look, let me explain each one so you don't hate my picks, and let me know yours if you want to. Okay, so the player with the most goals. I'm going to have to go with Fullerton Balogun just like last season. That is if he leaves Arsenal. If he does not leave Arsenal, I'm expecting Sargent or Haji Wright to be the players with the most goals this season. Many will say Ricardo Pepi. Listen, Ricardo Pepi is going to have to fight for his position on PSV. He's not going to start every game. This season will be a bit bumpy for Pepi in my opinion. It's about him gaining minutes with PSV and getting minutes ahead of Luke de Jong. So I'm going to go with Balogun just to be safe, as long as he gets a move away from Arsenal. Otherwise, Sargent or Haji Wright. Now, the player that'll get the most assists and the comeback player, I have selected the same one, and that is Christian Pulisic. I think Pulisic will be a locked-in starter for Milan. He's going to get plenty of assists this season, and for that reason, he'll also be my comeback player. And you might say whatever you want, it's not a comeback from Pulisic. It kind of is. Last season was horrible. His market value went down. People started to question him, at least abroad, right? Not the Americans, even though some Americans did question Pulisic before the World Cup. Not me. But some people did. Not going to say names. Regardless, Pulisic is the player that I think will have the most assists and will be the comeback US Men's National Team player of the season. My breakthrough player of the season will be Yunus Musah, and this one was a tough pick. I have a lot of doubts in regards to Musah, but I'm going to bet on him for one reason. I think the main reason he struggled with Valencia was because he was playing with a bunch of scrubs. I do understand that a lot of the times he looked very passive and he could have done better, and he should have done better, but I think now playing for a bigger team with better players, he'll eventually adjust and have an actual breakthrough season. He'll break out. And a few will say, well, he already has had a breakout season. Not really. He just got a lot of minutes for Valencia. He never consistently played well. I believe a breakout season is not a season that you just get a lot of minutes. It's one that you actually get a lot of minutes and you play well. You have an impact. He has not had that in his career so far. But I think this season, as the season goes on, not right away, I would say wait a little bit, give it a few months. I think Musah will eventually step it up and have his breakout season. The biggest surprise to me, and this is a very bold prediction right here, will be John Brooks. I think the biggest surprise here is because many people don't expect much from John Brooks anymore, and no one expects Greg Berhalter to call him up. So many have forgotten him. And I think Brooks will have a solid season for Hoffenheim. Therefore, that'll be the biggest surprise. Again, biggest surprise sometimes is a player that hasn't really played better than others, but just that the expectations are much lower. I still think Brooks has a shot to come back to the national team as long as Greg's not there. But considering Greg will be there till 2026, I doubt he'll be there. Now, the biggest disappointment to me will be Malik Tillman, and this right now might have angered a few of you. I mean, how can a player as talented as Tillman, which he very much is, be a disappointment? Well, it has to do more with the expectations. I'm expecting, and probably you are as well, a very big season for Malik Tillman with PSV. And then going back to Bayern, maybe staying with Bayern or getting a move, eventually a permanent move. The problem is, from what I've seen from Tillman last season with Rangers, it doesn't really convince me that he'll have an impact right away, and he might actually disappoint, having some good performances here and there against weak opponents and struggling against the tough ones, because that's what I saw last season with Rangers. He would beat up crap teams in Scotland, and every time he had to face Celtic or a Champions League team, he wasn't very good. I do understand that last season was his first professional season technically, so I do want to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I think he can do well, but the expectations for Tillman at PSV are high. He's also replacing Xavi Simons. A very talented player that went to RB Leipzig. So again, the expectations are high, and I think he might not match them. That's why I put Malik Tillman as my biggest disappointment. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. And there were other players that I was debating placing there. One of them was Brendan Aronson also. But we'll see. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. All right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, every Monday, sometimes on Tuesday, if there's an important game on Monday, we might push the Abroad to Tuesday. But every Monday, we have the US Men's National Team Abroad update, where we update the performance of the US Men's National Team players that play abroad. And we will have a new format this season. It'll be per league, after many of you requested. And as I said multiple times, this place right here is a democracy, not a dictatorship, even though sometimes I sound and act like a dictator. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go. Have a great day. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.